Hi, let's do a general warm-up, targeting the lower body, the spine, shoulders and wrists. This is a good warm-up for the emphasis of jumping, lifting and carrying, and crawling. Start with a deep squat, just as deep as you can. If your heels come off a little, no problem. Find a relaxed position. Maybe move around a little bit to get more comfortable in the bottom. Look around. Come up. Shake loose a little bit. Try to keep your heels down this time and stay with a steady upper body. So imagine you're holding a weight, being steady here. Come down, find a steady, stable position. Let's also try the deep knee bend. The squat is with heels down, this position where you can have a more or less straight back, steady position to carry a heavier load. You can also use the knee bend where we'll let the heels come off and kind of sit back on our heels. Also a good position to rest and a part of the landing in jumping. Let's practice those. Try to keep an upright posture and remain breathing calmly, deep and calm inhales and exhales. Relax the shoulders. Okay, shake out any tension. Let's go into the hip hinge. Moving the hips back. We can take our hands, push them into our hips, push the hips back with a straight or neutral back, pushing the hips as far back as possible, slight bend in the knees, then just going up. See how far back you can push the hips before your back starts rounding. Okay, let's add a little bit more depth to it. Push the hips back, and then we reach for the floors. We need to bend our knees as much as needed to grab onto something here. And then come up to standing. Push the hips back, come down, grab your imaginary object, brace, and come up. This is the deadlift, which we will be practicing more in the emphasis. So it's a good movement to just warm up and practice the sequence, the coordination of it. Hips go back, steady, stable in the upper body. Pull the shoulders back, grab onto your object, and stand up. Good. We'll work into a lunge. A little bit of a width in between your feet so that you can keep your balance and go down as deep as you feel comfortable with. Maybe pushing the range of motion a little bit for each repetition. Let's add some reaching from here. So we take the step back, We sink down into our lunge, push the hip forward a little bit to get into a bit of a stretch in the hip flexor, and then we reach with the opposite hand from the back leg, back and around. Other side, lunge, reach. Follow the hand with your eyes to let your entire spine rotate. And keep breathing. Shake loose, bounce a little. Let's come down to the floor using the hip hinge. We hip hinge, so we practice that a few extra times, and then we come down with the palm of our hand into the ground, walk out into a foot hand position, or if you like, you put your knees down and you're in a knee hand position. Whatever suits you and the level you're at. And then push the bum back and push away with the hands to come up to standing. Practice the hip hinge, reach for the floor or the ground, walk out to all four, and find a steady position here where you're pushing with your hands into the ground and having a balanced position. You can shimmy some from side to side, a little bit from front to back to find your center of gravity here, your balance in this position. Knees under hips, hands under shoulders. Keep going at your own pace, just hip hinge, crawl down to this position, find a steady knee hand or foot hand position. Look around here, try to be relaxed in your neck but pushing with your arms. We can add to this, if we like, a little bit of reaching here too. Reach forward with one hand, the other, reach the leg back, the other leg, use whatever ground you have. If there's an elevation to it, it's easier to go uphill, a little bit less load on your hands. If you go in a decline with your hands going down, it's going to be much tougher for the shoulders and hands, the wrists. We can try these contralateral reaches too, where we reach opposite hand and foot. Try to find your balance. Foot down, opposite hand and foot reaches, finding the balance, putting down. Shake loose. Let's practice a little bit of jumping, starting with the landing. Everybody can jump, but can you land in a controlled way? So, first of all, just do a calf raise, heel raise, going up on your toes, trying to find a little bit of balance there. And then when you come down with your heels, you go into this shallow squat and catch yourself with your arms forward, up. So go down, maybe faster and faster, to get this sense of landing from a jump in control, in balance. Look forward, keep your posture nice and proud, and it will be easier to balance the landing. Let's add a little bit of a jump. At your own pace, at your own whatever suits you. Just a small bounce or a small jump to just get a sense of the landing. One thing with landing, land on the ball of your feet so that you can brake with your lower leg and your upper leg and your knees and hips. The start goes from the foot to land on the ball of your foot to brake the landing. And if you land silently and can stay in balance for a few seconds after you land, it's a good landing. You know you stuck the landing. So practice that. Add a little bit more height to it if you like. Use the arms for momentum. You might see I'm doing this with my arms. I pull them up to get momentum, then I pull them down to be ready for the landing so I can stick the landing like this. Practice that. Takes a little bit of practice, coordination, but it will help you with sticking the landing when it becomes more complex and you add more power to the jump later on. Good. Feeling warm, ready to go. Tried out the movements a little bit. Now we'll go into the focus movements for today. Or maybe this is good enough for you, where you do this a few repetitions, a few rounds. These movements already a good way to train your movement quality, and while you're doing it you get some mobility, some strength, some explosiveness, some coordination, all while enjoying your time practicing and staying active and healthy. Great.